The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear it from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back to Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow hosts, Aaron Admire, Chris Sanders. And this is a special episode getting ready for the Tyson fight tomorrow. But before we get into that, we have a special guest with us today. This man needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyways. 20 plus years in the radio and entertainment industry. Currently hosting a nationally syndicated show on Fox Sports Radio, Covino and Rich, and also internationally podcast on Patreon, Covino and Rich, host on Sirius XM Turbo, and History Channel commentator and formerly of ESPN, SNY, K-Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Steve Covino.
Yeah, what an intro, bro. Yeah.
That's
And
it.
new. Yo, that's awesome, bro. That was great. I loved it. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me. And big fight fan. I'm a big fight fan too, man. Grew up loving boxing, watching all the fights. As I say all the time, man, I'll watch anybody fight. Any fight, anywhere. I just love watching the fights, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit. Like, just tell us your history with the sport of boxing. How'd you get into it when you were younger?
Well, my history has nothing to do with me in the ring. You know, it's just me as a fan. You know, I was exposed to it early. My uncles and cousins, you know, I grew up mostly on my mom's side. I'm Italian and Mexican, right? But on my mom's side, the Mexican side, all my uncles and cousins grew up watching boxing and fighting and Roberto Duran, and then eventually Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And that really pulled me in, that era of Tyson and Chavez and just every fight as a kid. Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, all those guys. I mean, there's so many great fighters along the way, great heavyweights. Just watching it, seeing it bring family and friends together just really hooked me at an early age. And it was just a lifestyle for me, man. Weekend came around, I wanted to know what fight was on. And as far as like getting in the ring, my interest was playing baseball, playing football, and just, you know, other sports. It never really dawned on me to like maybe try boxing or anything like that. But my love came from it when I saw these dudes come from nothing, make something out of nothing, and fight their way out of poverty, and just give you something to cheer for, man. And I love that it's an international sport, and I love the, you know, fighting pride of whatever country it is that they represent. There's so much pride on the line, so much heart on the line, and just the rawness and realness of it pulled me in.
For sure. And Chris, that's something I never asked you. How'd you actually decide to actually step in the ring? Because Chris is a former amateur boxer.
Yeah.
How'd you decide to get in the ring?
You know, it's something I always wanted to do as a kid. I had a couple of friends that did it, but I never was old enough, or I didn't feel. My parents were always pushing other sports like basketball, football, that nature. But at the time I came of age, you know, I started at 18. I went to my first gym, and then I went to college. So after college, I was like, you know what? I'm definitely going to do this. So as soon as I graduated college, it was over. Then I went into amateur boxing. That was my journey. That was it.
That's amazing, man. And, you know, it takes a set of steel nuts to get in there. And I just never even saw it as an opportunity. Like, you grow up in a town that say there's baseball fields or soccer fields, football, basketball. Never really dawned on me that, you know, maybe I could do that. You know, I dabbled in the martial arts as a little kid, but honestly, just watching those big fights is what made me a fan. I was just always a fan of that, you know, just always a fan of boxing in the fight world.
For sure. And before we actually talk about this fight, I just want to get like an overview, because I think some of your listeners don't appreciate how interactive your show is. You don't see host of shows get on, you know, they listen to this podcast and things like that. And that's how me and Admire met, actually. So I just kind of want to get into how interactive your show is, and I'll let Admire speak on it as well.
I think that our show is a group of friends, man. I'm the host of the show. I've been doing it a long time. Met you guys through the show, but it really is just a hang. It's just friends from all over the country. I'm going out with friends this weekend to Miami that I met through the show that became my buddies, and we're going to be watching a fight together. And that's the beauty of this fight, too. It's just bringing all those people back together for this big event. But, back to the show, man, it's a community. And we started on Sirius XM as a show, right? The Covino and Rich Show started as Maxim Radio, Maxim Magazine, a lifestyle brand, a lifestyle show. And I think what was cool about it is we were all getting into it together around the same age, around the same time. It was a new medium, a new free form, long form platform where there was no rules. And for as exciting as it was for you guys as a customer and as a listener, it was still just as exciting for us as hosts and as fans and listeners. Like, oh shit, people from all over the country can hear what we're doing. And because of social media, it was more than just a listener host relationship. You got to know people from the call-ins, from the interaction, from early days of MySpace and now Instagram and TikTok and everything else. So as corny as it sounds, it's not like we have fans. I hate that, as you guys know. I'm like, these are my friends, man. Because wherever I go, even if we've never met, they know everything about me because I put everything out there. So it's an automatically built connection and relationship, and therefore friendship, man. And I always have a good time meeting people. And then the longer you get to know these guys, like you guys, you feel like you know each other anyway. Like, I know you guys. I talk to you guys every day. Every freaking day. I talk to you guys more than I talk to my family, more than I talk to my friends from home, So, and that's just the truth. That's just how it is. That's the way of the world. So, through the years, and again, Rich and I celebrate 20 years this year, you really get to know people and their real thoughts because you're just spitting it out every day. There's no filters on this shit, and you guys know that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you want to expound on that too, Admire, about how interactive the show is?
Yeah, that's what drew me to the Covino and Rich show, is just how interactive it was. I work from home, so I always had you guys playing. And the best part is that interaction that you do have with your listeners is it's not your average radio show that you guys are just talking to each other. You're talking to everybody. Everybody else is a part of the show. It kind of reminds me of that part of the Queen movie where they're like, hey, we want to give the fans a song that they can perform. Well, every day you give the listeners a voice on your show. And it's crazy. Your show has changed the path of my life. I met EJ. We do this show. We're good friends. Me and Rucker, good friends, have a podcast. There's another listener, Andre Roy. He's from Canada, and now he's dating one of my best friends, and me and him hang out all the time. Your listeners are a really tight community. You've had people meet and get married, out of your listeners. So yeah, it's been cool watching your journey. I've been a listener since 2016, so I came into it late, but now here I am 8 years later, following you guys.
It really is crazy, man. That's really nice to hear. I appreciate that. And that's really the whole goal of what we do. We try to bring other people together and give them a voice and give them a platform and really just chop it up to figure shit out and see how we all feel about whatever it is we're talking about, and sometimes we disagree. We just came out of a crazy election. Sometimes we disagree, but it's good to hear everybody's points of view. And, as the host, I get a lot of backlash and a lot of feedback, but, I just try to do my best to be honest. And I'm glad it comes across that, we're genuine and we really do want to connect and interact. And that's the whole goal of what we do. And I'm glad to see you guys thriving doing the same thing, man. It's awesome. It's a great feeling to know that people can relate to the bullshit you're spitting out,
Yeah, we love it. And like you said, a lot of listeners, they don't agree on everything, but then you guys come out of nowhere with the topic, hey, let's talk about Ghostbusters, and then everybody's back on the same team in the conversation.
Yeah, it's a different world now because we're subscriber based, and we get a lot of people who are unhappy sometimes if we're not doing what they want or talking about what they want. So it is a balancing act of, well, it's still our show, so we got to stay in our lane of what we want to talk about and what we know about and what we do or what we find entertaining, with what people might want to hear. So it is that weird balance now on the Patreon side of things, subscriber based. On Fox Sports Radio, that's a ratings game, and we're just talking about what needs to be talked about, but yet still sparks our interest. Like, what's the hot story of the day? What's LeBron doing today? What's Bronny doing today? Mike Tyson's fighting this weekend. Like, these are things you got to talk about. And UFC 309. You know, so it's a mix of everything. And in today's world, you got to have your hand in every little pocket of it. Podcasting, terrestrial radio, you know, we're on satellite radio still. So happy to still have our hands in all these things. And at the same time, connecting all those people and all those demos together in hopes to bring them, you know, together into one place, you know, especially when we celebrate our 20th year anniversary, in December, January, sometime around there. Yeah.
For sure.
That's the goal anyway.
But let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Let's do it.
In the year of our Lord 2024, did we ever think we'd be previewing a Mike Tyson fight? How hyped are you for this, Covino?
Dude, you know me. I talk boxing as much as I can until I get shut down. I try to bring everything back to boxing because I feel like everything does come back to boxing. Styles make fights the same way they do in boxing, the same way they do in football, the same way they do in basketball, right? Man, how did this team beat this team but lose to that team? Styles make fights, right? It all comes back to that. But this is our childhood coming back, man. So I love a great fight, but we're talking Mike Tyson, the reason that a lot of us got into it in the first place, the most captivating, most intriguing guy ever to step into a ring, maybe ever to walk on this earth, Mike Tyson, right? And as a kid, who was more invincible than Mike Tyson? Iron Mike, Kid Dynamite. And I really feel like the knockouts, the first round knockouts, his lifestyle, his prison time, his ferocity, whatever the word is. And, you know, the fact that we had that video game where he was almost unbeatable. So in our minds, we're like, he's fucking insanely dominant to the point where you can't beat this guy, even though I eventually beat him in the game. I did eventually beat him. We were brainwashed as kids to think, man, he is the best of all time, maybe since Muhammad Ali. So to see this guy who represented our childhood with guys like, well, we always say the three Michaels, right? Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Mike Tyson. You know, to see him coming back, that's like saying Michael Jordan's lacing up one more time. You're like, what? That's like saying Michael Jackson is somehow moonwalking one more time. We get to see it. We get to see Mike Tyson, arguably the greatest of all time to do it one more time. He's 58. You know, he's doing it for the old guys, doing it for our childhood. So we're either going to see our childhood dreams get crushed tomorrow, or we're going to see something really awesome and he goes out on a high note and it's great. There's a lot of speculation on, is it a real fight? I think it is a real fight, man. I think he's going to put everything out there. He worked too hard. He's in great shape, man. You know, Christopher, you could probably speak on that. To get to the level of shape he's in right now, he had to be taken as serious. I don't know if that's going to translate in the ring. Because as he said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. We'll see what happens with that ring rust. But he has to be in great shape and ready for this fight. So to see how serious they've taken it gets me excited about it. And then my job as a host, as you guys know, is to get everybody else excited about it too.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't come around until the late 80s. That's when I was born. So can you kind of paint a picture on like how magical it was, like gathering around for a Tyson fight in the 80s when he was like unstoppable for the Buster Douglas?
Well, now you're really making me feel like an old guy. You know, wait, what? What did you say? I should put on my glasses now because I'm wearing glasses now. So I'll be the old guy and tell you, yeah, I was born before the 80s, but still I was a kid of the 80s, right? And like I said, you saw these dudes coming up. You saw, when it came to the heavyweights, you saw the Larry Holmes of the world doing their thing. You saw Larry Holmes beat and fight an old Muhammad Ali, right? And then Muhammad Ali then said to Mike Tyson, when they fought, get him for me. And then you see Mike Tyson knocking those guys out. And then Mike Tyson became your guy, right? You heard the legends of all these other early heavyweights. But then when you saw Mike Tyson knocking out Michael Spinks and Trevor Berbick and all these other dudes, you're like, this is my guy. This is the dude. And he just captivated everybody, bro. Everybody, because he seemed unbeatable. He was all business. He came out there with a towel around his neck, you know, not messing around, not a whole lot of showmanship, and you were paying. Remember, pay-per-views exploded and became a thing because of his fights. You were paying to watch this guy. You called all your friends over and all your family over, and you were ordering pizza, and your family was bringing tacos, and you're having parties to watch this dude fight for 90 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, that was it. And yet it was the greatest thing you ever seen because you've never seen it before. This dude was beating dudes 3 times his size and making them look stupid. And then eventually, as time went on, though, unfortunately, you guys know how it goes. You know, he did have trouble with bigger dudes that could box. Christopher knows, bigger dudes that could actually box. And you saw that, and you saw that with Buster Douglas, too. And when you watch that fight back, you see that he was struggling the whole time. Obviously, he didn't take it as serious as he should have, but it was Buster's night. And that's when I guess we were all slapped with reality, and we realized that he was human. So you got to look at it from this way, guys. If you were too little to really understand, he seemed like the most unbeatable guy there ever was. Like, he wasn't human. He was the real-life Ivan Drago. Like, he's made of steel. Like, no one could beat this guy. He just knocked everybody out. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere in Tokyo, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe that happened. He is beatable. He is human. And that sort of changed everything. And then you start to appreciate Mike Tyson as a man, and as a troubled man, and as a sad story, to be honest, because then you know that his life was not an easy one, and it never was. And I think that made him more relatable as time went on. We all grew up with the guy. We saw his ups and downs in the ring, out of the ring, his prison time, the death of his child. Like, your heart went out for him. His Broadway show, you got to learn a lot about the guy. So he's more than just a fighter. He's a guy that you feel you grew up with, and you saw the ups and downs, and you saw how he went from unbeatable to beatable to, you know, as low as someone can get to back again in the movies and everything else.
Yeah. And even after those losses and hardships, he's still one of the most recognizable athletes on the planet. So we're going to kind of celebrate, you know, his career and his life on this show. He's not dead or anything, but let's celebrate Mike Tyson. So I want to go around the room and kind of get our favorite Tyson moments. And I'm going to start off with you, Covino.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I do want to say you're absolutely right, too. There was a moment in time where they said the most recognizable people in the world were like Mike Tyson, Ali, Hulk Hogan, and Mickey Mouse or something worldwide, right? So worldwide, everybody sort of knew who he was. And that's why I love boxing, too. These are international superstars, right? People from all over the world, world heavyweight champion. These are people all over the world rooting for this dude. And Mike Tyson, you know, outside of the ring is just as intriguing, if not more intriguing, than inside of the ring. And I love any interview he did, any fight he got in with the reporters outside of the ring, the Mitch Green stuff outside of the ring. But one that stands out to me is fairly recent. I think it was the early 2000s. He's on some dude's talk show. I don't know, I don't know who the guy is, but he seems to be like a local broadcaster. And the guy seems real nice at first, like, hey, we're joined by Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson's sitting there, and immediately this dude goes right into the rape allegations and the story of the rape allegations. And then Mike Tyson loses it, like, man, you're a piece of shit. And the guy's, well, Mike, he's this polished guy. You know what, Mike, we're all on TV. I don't give a shit. You come across like you're a real nice guy. You're a real nice guy, and then you come here like a piece of shit after me. Oh, Mike, we're on TV. Like, so what are you going to do about it? Just how fast he put this dude in his place is one of my favorite moments. I don't know if you have the clip, but that for me is one that stands out. It's one of my million favorite moments.
Yeah, let's get into that clip right now.
Let's hear it.
Some of your critics would say, you know, there's a race for mayor. We know you're a convicted rapist. This could hurt his campaign. How would you respond to that? It's so interesting that you come across like a nice guy, but you're really a piece of shit. Hey, with that comment. That was a piece of fuck you. That was a piece of shit. You know, we're doing live TV. And I don't care. What are you going to do about it? All right, you got a show that you're doing tonight. Is it nerve-wracking for you to do something like this, or is it more nervous for you to box? It's more nerve-wracking for me to hear talking to a rap piece of shit like you. Come on, you're a piece of shit. All right, we're going to wrap up this interview. Thank you for coming. Fuck you.
Dude, how could you not love that? Seriously, like, he wasn't messing around right there. That was as real and as raw as it gets. And that's, again, another reason why you like Mike Tyson. he speaks from the heart, this place of wisdom that, man, I you can only admire it. Like Aaron over here, you can only admire like the wisdom and the way he puts his heart out there. It's just unbelievable. And that was just one of those real and raw moments where he was not messing around, dude. I love that clip.
So to continue with the real and raw moments, I picked a similar clip, but in this one, I feel like Mike was just in a different mood, and like the dude didn't even say anything that offensive. It was a UPN clip. He was on a news channel, and Mike was just not here for it today. So let's get into the clip that I chose.
Mike, Francois Botha, 6-1 underdog. Are there any concerns on your part?
I don't know anything about that. I don't know nothing about numbers. I just know what I can do.
How about
kill this mother?
Okay. How about the 19 months off?
What about it? What about it?
Does it pose any problem to you?
We'll see. I doubt it seriously.
You take into the ring a lot of rage. Does that work for you, or does it work against you at times?
You know, who cares? We're in a fight anyway. What does it matter?
Well, for example, rage against Evander Holyfield worked against you.
Well, it. It's a fight. So whatever happens, happens.
Mike, why do you have to talk like that?
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you. Do you have a problem? Turn off your station.
You know what? I think we'll end the discussion right now.
Then we could.
You got it. Have a nice fight, Mike.
Off.
By the way, yo, EJ, that's a great one, man. And I remember watching that as a kid. That's Russ Salzberg. And he was a local dude that we would watch all the time. So that was like your local guy, you know, growing up on the East Coast interviewing Tyson. You're like, oh my God, dude. It's just everything Tyson did was wild. And that was a hyped up young Mike Tyson. Now he's more slow and more subdued. And now he's like a deep thinker, almost like a philosopher. I've licked the ass of a toad. I've seen the other side. I've licked toad asses. Now he's like way deep and different. So I'm hoping that the playful, hey, Mike, the older Mike Tyson could channel that beast that he was this weekend. And just tonight, leading up to this hang right here, this interview, you saw Mike Tyson slap Jake Paul tonight in the face. So I'm hoping he's getting some of that aggression, that angry Mike back, because that's the kind of guy we want to see at least for one night on Friday.
Let's hope we get that, Mike. That's what I want to see. And that's what the people want to see. Admire, what you got for us?
My favorite is the return of Mike Tyson when he fought Peter McNeely. It was such a spectacle. Like, was Tyson going to be the same guy coming out of prison? That fight happened August 19th, like 2 months before the O.J. Simpson trial. Like, there was just so much going on in America, it seemed like, in 95, and Tyson was making this big return. My dad took me to his friend's house to watch it on pay-per-view. It was one of the first, guy hangs I got with my dad to go watch boxing with the guys.
That's awesome.
And Tyson versus McNeely is still in the top 10 for pay-per-view buys for boxing. It had 1.5 million pay-per-view buys in 95. That's huge. It's the oldest in the top 10 as well. Peter McNeely made it a great show, the lead up. I can't forget about him. We got a lot of good sound bites out of him. You got to dump in your pants.
Remember he made all those stupid rhymes? He would make all these stupid little riddles. And I remember he came out with all this fury, and it just got dropped so quick. It's so funny.
And then do you remember Peter McNeely's, like, right before he walked out, the little speech, how he said, I'm doing it for this person and this person. Yeah. Oh. And it just didn't make sense. I mean, for me, that was just the biggest Tyson moment for me, just getting those questions answered. Is he the same person out of prison? Because, he had a almost 5-year layoff there, and, he got him out of there. I think McNeely's manager entered the ring, but I mean, he was well on a way to get knocked out.
Yeah, well, let's get into that right now.
Peter McNeely.
Field mass. On Saturday night, watch me kick Tyson's ass. But if you haven't made your pay-per-view arrangements yet, make them soon. Because remember what happens when I wrap you in my cocoon. Mike Tyson.
Let's get it on.
Past few months, and here we go. And McNeely, as advertised, comes right at Mike Tyson. Down goes McNeely. Seconds into the first round. Seconds into the fight, McNeely on the canvas.
Tyson seeming to just hang back there waiting for that one shot.
1 minute gone by. McNeely's already been down.
Mills Lane had stopped that nonsense because they were starting to butt heads. Oh.
Tyson with a left hook right up, and down goes McNeely again.
McNeely's hurt this time, Steve. He's very hurt.
What's going on? The round's still going on. That's it. He quit. McNeely has quit.
He didn't quit. His corner threw in the towel.
That was the whole fight. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Just
we
one
paid
round,
for
huh?
that. Yeah, crazy, dude. Crazy.
That is crazy. Like, where'd they find? Was McNeely a champion at the time?
No, he wasn't a champion.
I think he was ranked pretty well, though. I mean, I think he was floating around that 10 to 15 mark, and they just brought him in. I mean, what better guy to help advertise a fight, dropping that cocoon line. I mean, fantastic.
That was the weakest. Oh, my God.
That's hella weak.
I think there's like current clips, like recent clips of him still like reciting poems and saying stupid shit. But yeah, that's a legendary one.
Yeah, trying to keep himself relevant, I guess. What you got for us, Chris?
Well, growing up as a kid, I lived next to all my family members. My aunt lived behind me. My cousins lived upstairs and downstairs, and I had a couple cousins across the street. So when a big fight like Mike Tyson would come on, everybody would come into one house.
I love that.
And unfortunately, me and my cousins would think that we're fighting each other. We're in a boxing ring because we'll find out I think at that time, maybe the PlayStation, or I forgot whatever the system is. But anyway, all my family's in the house. This is the Mike Tyson versus Holyfield fight. So all the adults are in the living room watching the fight, and then you just hear out of nowhere, "Oh my God, he bit an ear! Oh my God, he bit an ear!"
Oh.
So all of us run out the room. All of us kids are trying to figure out what's going on. Hey, what happened? Who bit who? Who's bit who? They bit his ear. Oh, it's on the floor. It's on the floor. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, he bit his ear off? And then all my cousins were all trying to bite each other's ears off. Like, we do it. But that's amazing to me because being that I've been an amateur boxer and fighting and how many fights I got into, to sit there and think and then to bite someone's ear as that's going on and to bite it off, I don't even think I ever got into that mode. I don't even think I even got into that mentality like that in the ring. So that was always one of the moments that stood out to me, just thinking about that. Like, how do you even think about doing that? And like, how you get to that mode? And
Chris, you were a little kid, right? The story goes, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'd love to tell you. What happens is, if you watch it, and you might see it in the clip, what really pissed him off and put him to that level, because he had respect for Evander Holyfield. Yeah, Evander, the wonderful man. He's a lovely man. I love Evander Holyfield, the man of God. Evander Holyfield was headbutting him the whole time. And remember, everybody was waiting for Tyson, Evander Holyfield forever. And Holyfield was coming up to cruiserweight ranks. So to finally see them collide and then Evander headbutting this dude, he got so frustrated, and it was completely out of frustration because he was losing the fight and he was getting headbutt the whole time. So he just did it out of total frustration and desperation, really.
Yeah, he was getting. But the thing about it is, think about trying to bite someone's ear off.
Oh my God,
that's hard to do. That's hard to do. So I can only imagine the pain that Holyfield went through. Like, you see him jumping in the ring, going crazy.
And the fact that they let him go, they continue after that is wild, right?
Crazy world we live in.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, let's get into it.
It really is. I love when Evander reacts to it too, and he holds. Yeah, it's so wild.
Then he bit it twice, right? In that same fight.
Yeah, crazy, dude.
Twice.
And Evander had his number, man. He really did. He knew how to fight Tyson. He really did.
Yeah,
dominated Tyson. But Evander's awesome, man. He's a great champ. He's a wonderful man. He's a great champion.
He's a wonderful man. Look at this. Look at this.
It is
Tyson
really
just
wild,
looks insane, man.
It looks insane, but you're really getting me hyped watching these clips. Because these are our memories, right? And the legend. And now all your younger cousins and siblings and kids, they get to see the guy you talked about, the guy they've only seen clips about. They get to see him in the ring. And they may know him as the guy that got beat by Jake Paul. They may know him as the guy who was the baddest, even still at 58. But, such a new generation gets to see and witness this dude in real life. And, Chris, you made me think of so many different things in that moment, man. As a little kid, too, watching those Tyson fights, you ever watch, like, a Rocky movie or Karate Kid or some shit, and then after that movie, you're doing karate kicks and shit because you feel like you're so fired up about it? That's how you felt watching Tyson fights, man. You see him you're there shadow boxing, you're there punching at whoever's in your way. You're fired up, living through that moment, man. And that's a great feeling. And I hope we get even just a little of that. If we see just a little of that this weekend, I think we all win.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great, man.
Before we get out of here, we got to actually talk about the fight that's happening on Friday. So, Jake Paul, he gets a lot of flack, for being Disney, YouTube, but the kid's got balls. He showed that he actually has some skills. He's an athlete. So a lot of people hate on him, but you got to give it up for the kid. Like, I respect what he does. Like, you got to have balls to get in the ring. And he's getting in the ring, like you said, with somebody who was a scary man in our childhood. So let's just talk about a little bit about Jake Paul and how you feel about him as like an actual athlete and boxer, Covino.
I got nothing but respect for Jake Paul, man. I didn't know him as a Vine kid or YouTube kid. Eventually I did as time went on. I respect what he's done for boxing and how many eyes he's brought to the sport. I love the spectacles and shows he's put on. I love that he's growing, with every fight and wanting to be a real champion. And I love that he's bringing Mike Tyson back out. I think it's incredible. Like, it took this dude to get Mike Tyson out. I'm all for it. So no hate on the dude. And I don't look at him as just a YouTube kid anymore. He's a guy who dedicated himself to this sport. He's a guy that's been in the gym. He's trained by the best. He's taken it serious. And you could see just from the people he's beaten, from Woodley to Askren to all these dudes, he's got real power. So, I mean, his skill level might not be where it should be or where you think it's needed to be, at the caliber of a professional fighter. And Chris could talk on that. But his balls are there, as you said. He's got the power. He's got the heart. And he's crazy enough to do it. So I think he's got the advantage here. I think everybody knows that he's got the youth. He's 27 years old. Mike Tyson's 58. Here's how I see it going down, man. I see Tyson going out there swinging hard early, like he always seemed to do, aggressive and knowing that, he's got 2-minute rounds, so that's his advantage, but he's got to make the most of those 2-minute rounds. And as every boxer and every fighter says, and as you know, and George Foreman proved, your power is the last to go. So if Tyson could land, right, and he even said, well, what are you going to knock him out with? He's like, whatever lands. The first time I land, I'm going to knock him out. He said the first time he lands, he's going to knock him out. So if he's going to do that, he has to do that by the 4th round. Because if he doesn't get him early, right, Jake Paul ends up winning. He has more stamina. And you could actually say Jake Paul didn't win. Father Time won, because I think Jake Paul will win the later rounds. If he could bring Tyson into the later rounds, Jake Paul has the advantage just because he's younger and our childhoods are crushed. But I'm really hoping that Mike Tyson can come out, early in the fight and land him with something nice.
So
I don't see that happening, by the way, though. I really don't. I don't. I feel bad saying that. I feel like Jake Paul has been consistent enough where Mike Tyson has too much rust behind him. Even though he's been doing this since he was a little kid, he hasn't done it consistently where Jake Paul has recently. So I think Jake Paul will look a lot faster than Mike Tyson, and we're not going to see what I hoped for in that little story. But I'm rooting for it.
So before I get everybody's official picks, Admire, I know when we started the show, you weren't a fan of Jake Paul. Is that how your stance still is?
I mean, him as a person, not really a big fan, but I have to respect what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like Covino said, he's putting his balls out there, backing it up. Not a lot of people would do that or could have the success that he's having with it. The problem I have with Jake Paul is kind of in who he fights. There's a long list of MMA fighters, retired people, this and that. So I tried to find the best way to explain this, and I've been working on it all week leading up to this moment. So Jake Paul gets in these fights that leave you undecided. And what I mean is when Gervonta Davis knocked out Ryan Garcia, no questions asked, Gervonta Davis is the better boxer. And that's the way it is with most boxing matches. But in Jake Paul's cases, there's always questions that leave you divided. If he beats Mike Tyson, then it's okay. Half the people are you beat a 58-year-old man. The other half is he beat an ex-world champion. So it's almost kind of like our politics in this country. We're all looking at the same thing, but you have half the people believe in one way and half the people believe in the other. And that's the same way it's been with all of his previous fights. Ben Askren, people will say, oh, he knocked out a former champion. Some people will say he wasn't even a stand-up fighter in MMA. So no matter what, Paul puts himself in these fights where there's still believers and non-believers, even though we get an outcome.
Yeah, he makes them interesting, though, right? They're interesting, and that's what's cool about this fight, Aaron, is that you don't have to be a boxing fan to be pulled in by the intrigue of just this old guy who was once the greatest versus young, hungry dude. Like, you don't need to even understand boxing to understand how and why that's interesting. So you could say, there's pros and cons to even what he's doing, like you said.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no doubt that this is probably one of the biggest events of the year. Cowboys Stadium. It's the first sporting event that I remember being on Netflix other than the hot dog eating contest. But, I mean, this is going to bring so many eyes to boxing that you can't help but appreciate Jake Paul putting boxing back on this national platform.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's definitely going to bring eyes to the TV sets or streaming or however you're viewing it. But before I get to the picks, Chris, what are the keys to the fight for both fighters?
Well, 2 minutes really go by quick.
Right.
Those were my toughest fights at 2 minutes because I didn't have enough to show what I could do, and I cannot wait till I get over that novice to go open to fight the 3 minute fights because the 2 minutes, they go by so quick. And if you blink your eye, you don't do something, or if you just get on defense for too long, it looks bad. So basically, Tyson's going to have to stay busy at that age. Both of them are going to have to stay busy, I think. I think both of the fighters are going to have to stay busy. The thing that worries about me for Mike is that Jake, people watching him to lose, right? That you guys keep saying he's bringing a big fan base. But some people just want to watch him lose.
Yeah. That's why I'm tuning in.
He's bringing them in like, oh, they want to see him lose. The kid's in shape. The kid don't miss a day in the gym. The kid's in shape. And that's why I've been impressed about him, watching him over the last few fights. Like, this kid really takes this serious. He's really working out. I'm watching some of the people he works out with. I'm like, I've been in the gym with those people. I know how they are. Oh, man, wow. He's getting some really good work with some really good people. He's taking it very serious, so I respect that. Mike is Mike, so you know what Mike's going to bring. Mike knows how to do this every day, any day. So it's going to be exciting, but they just got to stay busy. 2 minutes go by like this in the ring. I mean, to us watching it, it looks like a long fight, but when you're in there and you're going through the motions, next thing you know, you blink, you're like in round 5. You're like, what did round 2, 3 go? Like, oh my God, this happened so quick. So they're just going to have to stay busy. Whoever stays more busier is going to show that they're going to win that fight.
All right, well, let's get into it. Who y'all got for the fights? I'll start off with you, Covino. You kind of alluded to it earlier.
It's making me nervous, bro. The whole thing, just listening to Chris talk, just hearing Aaron's side of things, honestly, it makes me nervous because we're all pulling for Mike. I posted a meme the other day, and it's true. It's like we may be divided on politics and religion, but I think all of us want to see Mike Tyson knock this dude out. Unless, of course, you're a younger guy and you're pulling for Jake Paul. You're like a hardcore Jake Paul guy. Everybody wants to see Mike Tyson do it or still have it, right? Because you want to hold on to your youth a little bit. Like, man, good for the old guy. Man, I still believe what I said Tyson could catch him early, and that's his only chance. But I've seen so many times in boxing where your heart's on the line and you're like, no, he can do it. He can do it. And it doesn't happen the way you want it to happen. And I think, like I alluded to before, it's not that Jake Paul wins. It's that Father Time wins again. As you guys know, he's undefeated. And I'm just hoping that Tyson represents. He doesn't pull a no mas. He doesn't pull a Roberto Duran, one of his heroes. He doesn't end the fight with, I just don't have the fighting guts like I used to. I don't want to hear any subdued sadness. I hope he represents. He shows big. And I hope maybe that it's such a show and it goes quick, like Chris said, that it leaves us wanting more. Maybe we get another one. Look, there's going to be a lot of money to be made. So if they could make it happen again, you never know. Maybe they will. I see Jake Paul winning this fight. I do. I see Jake Paul winning, and I'm hoping that Mike Tyson gets him early.
All right. Meyer, who you got?
Well, I got a list of facts that I'm going to read off and tell you how I'm getting to my decision. So when Fury and Paul fought, Fury landed 33% on him, which is a pretty good number. Fury, not the best boxer in the world by any means. So if Tyson lands 33%, I mean, it's game over because Tyson only needs to land 1-2 punches to follow it up and end the fight. But, we keep talking about Tyson's age, 58 years old. I looked up the stats around it. Once you turn 25, every decade after that, you lose 10 to 40% of your stamina. So Tyson, at a very minimum, is already down 30% stamina from where he was, but he never really needed stamina because he was getting people out of there so early. So I'm not worried about that aspect of it. But, Jake Paul has a 5-inch reach advantage. He has a 3-inch height advantage. So my heart says Tyson, but my actual pick is going to be Paul. I think there's too many good things on his side and not enough on Tyson's. Trust me, I want Mike Tyson to win so bad. Come out, 3 pieces of a biscuit, good night. But I think it's if it makes it out of the first round, it's 100% Jake Paul. And, it was mentioned about the money. It's going to set up, possibly a rematch, maybe. Jake Paul's making $40 million on this. Mike Tyson's making $20 million. A lot of the undercard people are making $5 million, $1 million, more than they've ever made in their life. So this is something that definitely I could see them coming back and rerunning in the future, even if they mix up opponents, but, that's good money.
So Covino has Jake Paul. Meyer has Jake Paul. Who you got, Chris?
I'm devastated hearing these guys tonight. I can't believe what they said. I can't believe none of this
I want to
stuff.
believe whatever you say, man.
This guy picked up a boxing glove like a couple of years ago. Now you guys, we talk about Mike Tyson here.
58-year-old Mike Tyson.
You talk about height and reach. All I know is Mike Tyson knocking out everybody bigger than him. I don't know anybody he knocked out smaller than him. Yeah, but here's how it's gonna go. I see Mike. If Mike's gonna win, he got to get him in before the 6th. I don't think Mike has the stamina to go further than that. What I don't see from Jake, my only critique I always have about him as a boxer, he don't put the punches together. And what I mean is there's no combo. There's no 1, 2, 3s. There's always 1 or 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. As someone at Mike Tyson, I think he can time that a little. He's going to be able to time the 1s and the 2s. He don't put the 1, 2, 3s together. Yeah, on pads he does, but every fight that I've seen him fight, I never seen him put 1, 2, 3, not even 4 combinations together. So when Mike can time those, I think by the 6th round, if he can get a good punch in, if he still has that power to knock him out, it'll be exciting. But, I think it'll go the distance, but maybe if Mike can get him, it'll be the 6th round. So I'm going with Mike if he can get him by the 6th. By time.
And I forgot one thing that I did write down that not a lot of people know about. Ever since Mike Tyson retired from boxing, he started smoking cigarettes. There's stories about him ripping cigarettes just back to back to back. So I don't know how that's going to play into his stamina either.
And I've been hotboxing too. I've been in a lot of hotboxing.
Yeah, he does that too. That's a fact.
I do. I smoke a lot of weed and I lick toads' butts. The butts of toads.
How many rounds is this supposed to be?
8 rounds.
8 rounds, 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, that's why I said you got to get him by 6.
Oh, yeah. And Chris, I actually got a question for you, man. The 14-ounce gloves, because everyone keeps asking me.
That's what I was going to say.
Who's that an advantage toward, in your opinion?
They are advantage to both fighters.
Yeah, really? Okay.
You can block. So you can block better with those. You can see the punches coming better with those. Usually, fighters fight at 12 and 10. I think the lower fighters fight at 10. Those are just what happens is when you try to make a block, they kind of go through the gloves. You can't really block them that well, and you kind of feel most of the wrist, and it gets honestly to me. It hurts my hands a lot more. So with the smaller gloves, you feel more of the punches. You feel more of the punches receiving and giving off. So with the bigger gloves, you can take a lot of that punch off. You can see, and you can cover more of your face up if you need a block. So it's going to help both fighters in that standpoint.
For sure. So, Chris, you going with Tyson?
If he goes past, if it goes past 6, then no. But if it goes to 6,
you can't. You can't be on the fence like
well,
that.
the thing is, it's gonna go by so fast. Some last 2 rounds, I don't like. I said, if I'm giving it to Mike, if he can figure out the strategy to 1-2, because unfortunately, Jake in the ring doesn't throw that many punches as in combinations. He throws hard punches, but not combination punches. He's throwing a lot of 1s and a lot of 2s. But if he gets past, Jake would be a different fighter if he can get 1, 2, 3, and then sometimes 4. If he gets to that level where he can throw 1, 2, 3, 4 combinations, he would be a totally different fighter. We'll be talking about him fighting different type of pros, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm putting you down as for Tyson.
That's right.
So my heart is going with Tyson, but I got to go with Covino and Admire. I'm going with Jake Paul in this one. The younger fighter, hungrier fighter. I think you'll see glimpses from Tyson. Like, people forget about the exhibition with Roy Jones. We saw glimpses of Tyson. Like, you're like, wow, I saw a little bit of the old Mike, but
but even that was like, how many was that? Like 4 years ago already?
Yeah, that was during the pandemic. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah, right. So, man, I hope if we get some of that, then I think we got a shot. Because even Roy Jones Jr. said recently, like, I was not expecting that, and it hurt. He was saying there's a lot of boxers that know. Lennox Lewis recently said that he thinks Tyson's going to win. Roy Jones Jr. is picking Tyson. So if he does have that Roy Jones Jr. sort of way about him still, then yeah, I'm with you. He could have a shot.
Yeah, but I just think he's going to run out of gas. Jake Paul's probably going to use the range, kind of like what Mike Tyson saying, the hype. I watched a little bit next. He's going to run away from me. I just got to catch him. Yeah, I just think he's going to be elusive. I think he's going to go to distance and get the decision. And like I said, it's going to set itself up for a big rematch. But I got Jake Paul winning this one, unfortunately.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Do we think there's going to be any sort of controversy, anything weird that happens? You think there's going to be an interesting aftermath? Is it going to be like a friendly, happy Mike Tyson moment? Is he going to be pissed off and angry? Does he unleash a beast? Like, is something weird going to happen? That's also where my head's at. Like, because Mike Tyson, there was always some craziness that came with his fights and his events. Like we saw today again. It seems that playtime's over. Jake Paul stepped on his foot at the face-off tonight. He slapped him. He's getting angry. Maybe we're seeing, I don't know, is that showmanship or is that really this side of him coming out? If that's this side of him coming out, we might see some craziness tomorrow night. So that's something else to look out for.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right? I think it is going to be a circus. It's going to be some type of soundbite that we get, and y'all will be talking on your show on Monday about or Tuesday. Yeah, it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. We should try to put a bet on like what crazy shit happens on
there should be like a prop bet. Yeah, something. There's got to be.
The undercard's good too. The undercard. Really good. We got a good undercard.
Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. That's going to
rematch, right?
Yeah,
rematch.
That's going to be a banger. And when we do the post show, we'll definitely talk about that. But
Mario Barrios and Ramos are fighting. So Barrios, he's good. He's a good fighter too. So you got a legitimate card. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, like you said before, it brings so many new eyes to boxing, and they're going to see how fun just the event is going to be with the camaraderie of the people you're with this weekend. Like I said, it's just a lot. It's just going to be fun for all of us to get together and watch this together and have something to talk about for the rest of the weekend and maybe for years to come.
For sure. Definitely going to be an extravaganza this weekend, but that'll bring us to the end of the show. Before we get on out of here, Covino, where could everybody find you?
Everywhere, bro. Everywhere. Yeah. So Monday through Thursday, you guys know I do a Patreon, Covino and Rich. It's patreon.com/Covino and Rich, where you just get the real raw Covino and Rich, uncensored, unfiltered, try to be as interactive as possible. It's where I met these guys. And it's a cool community where we talk sports, more life and relationships than anything. And then every day after that, Monday through Friday, we're nationwide on Fox Sports Radio on Sirius XM 83, or just check your local listings. iHeartRadio app is free, iHeartRadio app, or just search Covino and Rich wherever you get your podcast. You'll get our Overpromised bonus show. You'll get our where we talked about Tyson and the expectations, overpromised. And you'll see our Fox Sports Radio show. You'll see everything. If you just search Covino and Rich on Spotify or wherever you stream. And I'm on Sirius XM Turbo every night, and Ozzy's Boneyard every weekend morning. Dude, I'm like Tupac, bro. I get around, dude. I try to be everywhere, and it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys, man. Shout out to the Haymaker Combat Sports Nation and your boy Steve Johnson, who's not here right now. Thank you, Chris, EJ, Aaron, for all your support and for having me. And man, let's all enjoy this weekend, dude. And let's not sleep on not only Tyson, Jake Paul, UFC 309 on Saturday, bro. It's a crazy weekend. John Jones is fighting Stipe. So, we got a crazy weekend of fights. And if you're a fight fan, you got to salivate at this and make a weekend of it and just, tell your friends to come by and enjoy.
Well, that was a perfect segue because we just dropped that episode yesterday, the 309 preview show. So make sure to check that out if y'all haven't already on Spotify and YouTube and all that good stuff. But Covino, we appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you guys.
Have to do this, but
thanks a lot.
Took the time out and came to kick it with us. So we definitely appreciate that. And make sure to follow him on all social media platforms, like he explained, and make sure to follow us on all social media platforms, Spotify, the YouTubes, Apple, all that good stuff. But that'll do it for us here at the special Tyson preview episode of Haymaker Combat Sports. Until next time, be safe out there. Later.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars, cause it's live.